Welcome to the Ocean Breeze Athletic Complex on Staten Island, 30 minutes drive to the south of New York City. There is the Big Apple in all its glory. Seems like a stone's throw away when you look across the water, but there's the Verrazano Narrows Bridge on which the New York Marathon starts. Or at least it starts on just the south side of that mile and a bit long bridge. But this athletic complex, well, it was purpose-built 5 years ago. It staged the US Indoor Championships a couple of years ago. And this is the third of 5 meetings in the World Athletics World Indoor Tour Gold Meeting Series. We've had fabulous performances so far in Karlsruhe, Germany, and in Lieven, as well as in that high jump meeting in Slovakia. Last Tuesday in Lieven we had world and European records, and it was the highest ranked indoor athletics meeting ever since scores were first kept back in 2001. Effectively the greatest indoor meeting seen in history. And there's the series of events coming at us over this next couple of hours. A lot of track events, just 2 field events, the men's high jump and the women's pole vault. But a real feast here for those of you who enjoy the sprints, the hurdles, the middle distances, and some longer stuff as well. And with the US Indoor Championships cancelled and January's Melrose Games as well this winter in the nearby Armory Centre that Melrose Games should have been staged in New York City. This meet is desperately needed by top US athletes as well as many from further afield. And there is a good mix of international stars, including world and Olympic champions here this evening. Well, the first event that we'll get to is the women's 60-metre hurdles. A pretty unforgiving discipline where there's so little room for error. As you can see, the barriers are already out in the middle of this facility in the on the sprint straight. World lead 7:83 by Christina Clemens. Kenny Harrison there is the reigning world record holder outdoors. She was silver medalist at the World Championships in Doha 2019. Kenny Harrison, 28 years old now. She is the reigning world indoor champion though. There's Sydney McLaughlin, has pulled out of the 500 metres. She was meant to be racing later on. World Championship silver medalist at 400-metre hurdles, McLaughlin. Porter, well, Tiffany Porter of Great Britain, a former American, bronze medalist twice at the World Indoor Championships, 33 years old now, but she is world number 3 this winter. There's McLaughlin, so much excitement about her. There's an enormous talent. She's still only 21 years old. She hasn't raced the 100 hurdles outdoors since 2014. Her personal best, in fact, the last time she ran 60-metre hurdles indoors was back in March 2015. This was supposed to be a sort of a warm-up, this race for her, for the 500 metres coming later on in the meeting. But she has pulled out of that one. She's changed coaches, by the way, over the last few months. Has gone to Bobby Kersey. But she hasn't raced since the 6th of October 2019. Yes, that's right. About 1 year and 5 months ago. That was when she took gold in the 4x400 metres relay in Doha. She ran the second leg for the USA, ran an astonishing 48.7, easily the fastest leg of anybody in that final. So she is a huge talent over the 400-metre hurdles and the 400 metres, a good hurdler, of course, but how will she cope here against people like the world record holder? To the left of picture there we saw Kenny Harrison in 5, Williams in 1, Cunningham 2, Porter 3, McLaughlin 4, Kenny Harrison in 5, 4 from left. Kenny Harrison very quick there. McLaughlin struggling in the red, but Kenny Harrison leading at the moment on the far side. Really good running over there. 2 from Gabrielle Cunningham, I think it was, US indoor champion from last winter. But Kenny Harrison taking that one. Things going well for her in this build-up to what we hope will be an Olympic year. Well, back in 2016, she was only 6th in the Olympic trials outdoors, was Kenny Harrison, and then set a world record 14 days later in London for the 100-metre hurdles. Watch her start here. There she is in the pink, centre of picture. Gets away really well. Great running over in lane 2 from Gabby Cunningham, and also from Porter, Tiff Porter, beside her in lane 3. But Kenny Harrison, very, very crisp indeed there. And we'll check for the results of that one. There it is, Kenny Harrison, 7.82, the fastest time in the world this year. By 1/100th of a second, she takes over top spot from Christina Clemens. Porter in 2nd, Cunningham 3rd, with a personal best. Good running from her. She did start so well. And Sydney McLaughlin, well, expected to be down the field, and she was down in 8th place. It's really a little too short for somebody with her stamina, her strength. Well, the high jump took place earlier on, the men's high jump, and this is Rod Townsend. First time clearance for him at 2:10 and at 2:15. Townsend, well, 2:16 performer this winter. His lifetime best is only 2:19, so he's performing pretty close to his best. This is Trey Culver. He's in good form, the 24-year-old. 2:33 is lifetime best, but he has jumped 2:25 this winter. And Culver there goes clear first time at 2:15 as well. Shelby McEwen. Well, the American Track League third meeting last Sunday, he jumped 2:20, a season's best, pops over 2:15 there without any trouble at all. It is his season's best, 2:20. Eric Kennard. Well, Kennard, an Olympic silver medalist back in London 2012. Huge fella is Kennard, 30 years old now. Bronze medalist at the World Indoors in Portland back in 2016, and he too goes over first time. Donald Thomas, well, world champion, the Bahamian, back in 2007. Here is his second attempt at 2:15. Thomas still going pretty well. He was 7th in Rio back in 2016. He won here back in 2017, or at least this meeting normally held in Boston. And the Boston facility, the Reggie Lewis Centre, has become a vaccination centre. That's Keenan Lane, I'm afraid, failing at the third time of asking at 2:15 meters. And he's a 2:28 jumper at his best. He's only had one competition this year. That was nearly a month ago in Clemson, South Carolina. Jerome Robinson now. He pops over 2:20. Nice clearance from him. Robinson, a World Championship finalist back in 2019 and the US Outdoor Champion also that summer. Culver at 2:20. No trouble for him. Pops over first time, as he did at the previous height, 2:15. Culver in his third competition of the year here. Kennard once again, first attempt at 2:20. Big fella is Eric Kennard. Lovely looking jumper too. And Rod Townsend, no, didn't really believe that, did he? Third failure for him. So Robinson, Culver and Kennard all clear first time. Townsend there goes out with that third time failure. Unfortunately, it would have been a lifetime best. And Donald Thomas just clips that one. That was so close for Thomas. Huge natural talent, 36 years old now, but when he first came into track and field athletics, he was a talent that had been discovered jumping, I think it was 2:20 meters in baseball shoes back in 2005, 2006. Shelby McEwen here, a third attempt for him at 2:20 meters. Well, this would equal his season's best, but McEwen, who is a 2:31 jumper from 2 years ago in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah, and he goes out too. Well, frustrating for him. There's the arena, of course, pretty much spectator free, unfortunately, as are all the athletics events that have been brought to you on the whatever channel you're watching. They're just not allowed, unfortunately, at these indoor venues. And, of course, the stringent conditions, COVID-enforced conditions that the meeting organisers have to adhere to are quite astonishing. Very, very tough to stage these meetings. And Mark Wetmore, the meeting director, and the rest of the organisers of this new Balance Indoor Grand Prix, which is normally in Boston, as I say, only a couple of weeks back it got shifted to this facility just outside New York, deserve an enormous pat on the back, Wetmore and his teams, for getting this meeting together. The athletes are staying in a hotel about half an hour away in the city, in New York City. The Atlantic Ocean is pretty much right outside the window of this beautiful complex. The bends, you can see to the right of picture there, the track, the light grey and dark grey lanes. The bend is elevated, but it's on hydraulics and it can be raised or lowered to whatever height the organisers want. It can become completely flat and therefore create just one huge flat indoor arena, which obviously would be very suitable for other activities. But it's a quick track. We do know that from the US Championships held here a couple of years ago. Some very fast times were set here, and we expect that to be the case today. We've already had a very high caliber 2-mile race for men, which was won by Justin Knight of Canada in 8:13.92. Joe Klecker was second in 8:14.20, and Morgan McDonald third, 8:14.92, and a national record for Australia. Anything under 8:20 for 2 miles is pretty useful. The next event on the track is the women's 800 metres. You can hear over the public address announcement Jeff Whiteman introducing the field to those in the arena. Jeff himself was a Great Britain international on the marathon, and his son Jake runs in the 1500 metres later on. He is the British record holder of 1,000, Jake Whiteman, and quite how Jeff Whiteman makes the announcing in the stadia around the world when his son is racing down below him, I do not know. I couldn't face it myself. So here are the ladies in the 800 metres. There have been a couple of very late withdrawals. Sierra Brown and Natoya Gould for the USA and Jamaica respectively both pulled out. R.J. Wilson, 26 years old now, the American, a very, very late addition to the field. US indoor champion last year. No outdoor races, though, last year. R.J. Wilson, quite astonishing. Has an indoor best of 1:58, which does hold the American record outdoors of 1:55.61. Goriran, there of the USA, just 15 years old, this youngster. Best of 2:02, set last Sunday. How will she cope here? The pacemaker is Asha Ruth, has been asked to go out in 28.5 for the first lap and then 57.5. Now she needs to slow right down. Thankfully, she took a glance over her shoulder there because she blasted that first 100 way too fast. But let's see how they go here. Isabel Boffey in this one for Great Britain. Lindsay Butterworth of Canada. Adele Tracy is in there. She's in good form. Edwards in second place. Kayla Edwards, NCAA champion in the mile back in 2016. Trains with Emma Coburn, who goes in the 2 miles later on for ladies. You can see Adele Tracy there of Great Britain running wide off the outside. Well positioned at the moment is Kayla Edwards. So, 400 metres coming up. There it is, around 60 seconds at 400 metres, 60.84. And Edwards still out in front, running the shortest line. Tracy beginning to attack now. She's in good form, Adele Tracy, fourth in the European Championships back in 2018. The Briton, born in Seattle, funnily enough, over on the west coast of the USA. Set an outdoor best of 1:59 in Berlin when she took that fourth place. But coached by Quay Winrow, she's going well at the moment in third place. Still Edwards leading, running a really smart race here. R.J. Wilson there in the long black socks in second place is the powerhouse in this event. On paper, she should beat this field fairly easily. Isabel Boffey, just 20 years old, the Britain European Junior Champion in 2019 in the 4x400 metres relay and the individual 800, having a great run here, hanging on to this leading pair. Edwards and Wilson. And Boffey, is there daylight down the inside? I don't think so. She had to swing wide, but Wilson kicks away, and Boffey there didn't find daylight down the inside, isn't able to get in second place. Great running from R.J. Wilson. Indeed, she wins that one very comfortably indeed. The winning time, 2:01.79. Kayla Edwards just outside 2:02. And a personal best there for the Briton Boffey in third place. Great running from her. Lindsay Butterworth of Canada, fourth, 2:03.91. But that from an R.J. Wilson who entered this race literally, as we're aware, in the last hour or so, is a fabulous run. I got a call from meeting director Mark Wetmore about half an hour ago saying 2 athletes are out of the 800 and R.J. Wilson is in. Very strange indeed for an athlete of this calibre to choose to run in a race of this significance so late in the day, but a very worthy addition she is too, and a winner on this occasion. R.J. Wilson, 2:01.79 ahead of Edwards and Boffey, a personal best for the Briton there. Adele Tracy, 2:04, back in 7th place. She'll be disappointed with that. She's been in good form recently with the 2:02 in Fayetteville. Well, RJ Wilson is the real deal. She's an athlete who has been around for a few years now. Many, many times under 157. Well, Eric Kennard at 220 now. Oh, no. Well, Kennard, it's a sort of height that he would normally pop over without too much trouble. That was Kennard at 225 now. Jerome Robinson cleared 220 first time, even though 215 it took 3 attempts. 225, yes! Well, that's his second time clearance at 233, in fact, for Culver. We're playing catch-up, of course. This competition ended a little while ago. At 7'7" and 3/4. No, Robinson there. Bows out with a third-time failure. He's still going at 236. Culver then at 233. Clearing at the second time, and that is a world lead and equals his lifetime best. Kennard with that first time clearance at 220. Had a couple of shots at 225 and one at 228, but finishes in third place. It was the season's best for him. But Trey Culver, well, equaling his personal best, and a name that on the international scene I'm not that familiar with. He's 24 years old, Trey Culver. Hometown is Lubbock, Texas. He's at Texas Tech University, but he's taken some scouts there today, in particular that of Eric Kennard, with a really good height, which is a new world lead. The highest jump in the world before today was Tamberi, Gianmarco Tamberi's 232. That was in Ancona, Italy on the 30th of January. Well, Culver's just obviously gone a little bit higher than that. Donald Thomas, well, down in 6th place, and his best years surely behind him now.
Alongside him, the NACAC silver medalist for the USA, Kendall Williams. Next lane, the former world indoor champion with best of 6:47 for the USA, Trayvon Bromell. And then it's a warm welcome to the reigning world champion at 200 meters.
Well, the next event on the track, the men's 60 meters, 2 heats. And this is quite some lineup in the first heat. You may be able to hear them being introduced. There is Trayvon Bromell, the world number 1, the American who was 8th in Rio at the Olympic Games in the 100 meters final. Took a bronze medal back in 2015 in Beijing at the World Championships over 100. But his world best to top the rankings, he goes in lane 4 by the way, is 6.48. Anything under 650 is very special indeed. He's the only man under that mark this winter. Won the World Indoor Championships back in 2016. The lineup from the far side in lane 2, Brandon Carnes, Kendall Williams 3, Trayvon Bromell in 4, Noah Lyles goes in 5, and Mario Burke in 6. Watch Lyles, second to left. Lyles will run a 200 later on. He's using this really as a warm-up. Look at Bromell, steaming clear of this field, 1.5 meters clear of the rest, and more, 6.55. And I rather got the impression there's more to come. Very impressive indeed from Bromell. Well, he was beaten in his last race. That was last Sunday in Fayetteville. He ran 6.58 there. But watch Lyles here in the green. Takes a little while to get going. Remember, he's a 200 specialist, and Bromell, well, very much a 60 and 100 meter specialist. Well, Bromell lost to Ronnie Baker, the third fastest man ever at 60 meters last week. Baker, sadly, is not racing here. It would have been lovely to see him and Bromell meet up, but there's the times. Bromell, Carnes and Burke go through. The first 3 go through by right, with the next 2 non-automatic qualifiers from the 2 heats going through to the final. Noah Lyles, 6.76 for him. Well, he has run 6.57, albeit back in 2018. It's indeed, that was his first indoor 60 since 2018. And he had stated prior to that race, by the way, that even if he made the final, he would not run it. The 60 finally is all focused now on the 200 metres for him. Well, the women's pole vault field being introduced to the crowd. There is Sandy Morris, World Championship silver medalist in 2017 and again in 2019. In Rio the year before her London silver, she took the silver medal at the Olympic Games. She is the reigning world indoor champion, Sandy Morris, to the right there in black. She won in Birmingham at the World Indoors in 2019 with 4 meters 90. And she served her apprenticeship. She was 4th in the World Championships in 2015. But she is number 3 all-time indoors, Sandy Morris, with 4 meters 95. And just to underline her consistency, she's number 2 all-time outdoors with 5 meters exactly. More of those vaulters in a minute. Back to the second heat of the men's 60 meters. Well, Marvin Bracey, silver medalist in the world indoors back in 2014 in Sopot, Poland. 5 times under 10 seconds outdoors, Bracey. His lifetime best is 6.48. Jalen Bacon goes over on the far side. Then Demet Kemp goes in beside him. Maurice Eady. Then Marvin Bracey and Kevon Rattray. So, according to my start list, they have changed their lanes, these athletes. There has been a little bit of late adjustment. So, Jalen Bacon goes at the top, Marvin Bracey beside him, Demet Kemp in the middle, Eady second away from the camera, and Rattray to the left of pitch. A really good start there from Maurice Eady, and he's taking this one, and he does indeed, I think, although maybe Bracey came through to outlean him over the last 5 or 10 metres. It was really tight at the line. Well, we're waiting to see who gets it. Rattray 6.72. And in fact, they have given it to Bracey, I think. Yeah, 6.65, but Trayvon Bromel's winning mark in the first heat, 6.53, by far the quickest we've seen. Bracey and Eady both given the same time. I think that's probably fair. It was really hard to separate them. Watch this. Bracey is second from right. Eady's second away from the camera in the blue. And right in the middle in the light blue is Demet Kemp. He finishes up in 4th place in 6.72. But by far the best start is Maurice Eady, nearest the camera there in the blue, lane 5, and then coming through late is Marvin Bracey. He would have liked that to be a full 100, I suspect, Bracey. Well, he is a 9.93 sprinter outdoors, but there it is, Bracey and Eady at the same time. Well, they've given it to Bracey, going down to thousandths of a second, and Bacon is the other automatic qualifier from that second heat. And there are the qualifiers from the 2 heats for the final. You can see the non-automatic qualifiers were Kemp and Rattray. Mario Burke, 6.73, getting through there. In 3rd place, the Bahamian from the first heat. Well, the women's pole vault just getting underway. Only 4 competitors in this one, but so much attention on Sandy Morris. Such is her quality and consistency. You wonder every time she vaults just what she's going to be able to do, the reigning world indoor champion. Already tops the world list for this winter with 4 meters 88. That was in the 3rd edition of the American Track Lead, a series of 4 meetings on consecutive Sundays, staged in Fayetteville, Arkansas. last Sunday, the 7th of February, was the third meeting, and Sandy Morris there jumped 4 meters 88. Second on the world rankings behind was Sidorova of Russia with 4.87. Then Holly Bradshaw, who's had a fabulous series of meetings vaulting over in Europe, the Briton with 4 meters 85. Megan Clark will go at 4 meters 15. She's a 460 vaulter at her absolute best. That though was 5 years ago. She has cleared 458 this winter. They're just making some adjustment to the landing mats, the bed for the pole vaulters, we understand. But there is a significant chance here that Sandy Morris could set a new meeting record. Her season's best is 4 meters 88, and the meeting record is 4 meters 88 by one Jen Stur, the world indoor record holder. I set that mark back in 2012. Well, this was the first vault of the competition by Chloe Cunliffe. Pops over there at 4 meters 15. That's 13 feet 7 1/4. Holds the US junior record, does Cunliffe, still only 20 years old. This was 5th last Sunday in the American Track League third meeting with 4 meters 28. Her indoor lifetime best is 4 meters 50. So she can put a few heights on that yet. Actually, she vaulted that 450 a couple of years ago when she was just 18 years old. So certainly we should see her progressing in this outdoor season. Women's 300 meters next event on the track. And Kendall Ellis, third in the Pan Am under 20 400 meters. A few years back now, she's 24 years old. Best for 300 meters, a rarely run distance indoors outside the USA. In the USA, they tend to run these non-normal, non-championship distances a little more often than elsewhere, 300s and 600s and 1000s and so on. So this 300, well, there is no world record for this discipline. It's a world best time that Privalova ran back in 1993. The Russian ran 35.45. Anything down around 36, 37 seconds is very quick running. So Corey Carter goes in lane 3. They're not using lanes 1 and 2, so centre right of picture is Corey Carter. Faster over the hurdles, and on the flat is Corey Carter. She was a world champion at the 400-metre hurdles back in 2017. She ran 52.95. Her best for this, 37.5. Kendall Ellis goes for 4. Gabby Thomas, former Harvard student, who's the world #1 this winter, goes in lane 5 there in the red, second from the front, so she goes through the line there. And on the outside, Lina Irby of the USA was a 49.8 400 PB. Now, tough distance to gauge your effort and get it right, because you can't go absolutely flat out. Indeed, you can't over 200 even, but you have to get that effort right. And if you haven't been training for it, it could be very difficult indeed. She's going well here. Gabby Thomas beginning to turn it on. Became number 6 all time on the 24th of January when she ran her personal best at 35.92 and takes this one by about 1.5 meters from Irby outside her. Great running there from Gabby Thomas. Nicely judged effort. 35.73. by Gabby Thomas. That is a new personal best and a world lead to boot. Well, 35.73 by Gabby Thomas. Just looking, that makes her the 5th fastest athlete in history. She's just elevated herself from number 6 to number 5 on the all-time rankings. Back in 3rd and a distant 4th were Kendall Ellis and Corey Carter, respectively. Holds her form well, doesn't she, Gabby Thomas? NCAA champion, went at Harvard back in 2018 over 200 meters. And that is a quick time, 35.73. Maybe her future lays at 400, who knows? Lina Irby, pretty useful too, with 35.99 personal best. And Kendall Ellis, 36.69. a personal best, but very special 300-meter running from Gabby Thomas, who won this race last year when the meeting was staged at the normal venue, the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston, and she retains that New Balance Indoor Games title at 300 meters. Now Megan Clark, first vault for her at 4 meters 30. She's a 460 vaulter outdoors. This shouldn't be too much trouble. Oh, but it is. Oh dear. And she's cleared 4:58 this winter. Clark comes from Fort Benning. Studies at Duke University. Her outdoor best 4:63. Now, Olivia Groover. This was her at 4:15. Groover is a 4:78 vaulter, very much a world-class performer. Twice NCAA pole vault champion in 2017 and 2018. This is 4:30, yeah, passed up 4:15, but no, can do so much better than that. Indeed, her lifetime best was set just last Sunday, 4:78. So she'll want to reset there. She's had a couple of vaults already this year, a couple of competitions. 4:67 in Seattle, and then 4:78 just last week. Now Cunliffe, second attempt for her at 4:30. Sandy Morris, it looks like, according to our computer, is going to come in at the next height, 4:45. But here we go, second attempt for Cunliffe at 4:30. Oh, that's a shame. She was effectively over that, clipped it with her arm on the way down. Well, she does, ironically, still have the lead. That 4:15 is the only clearance we've seen so far because she's the only athlete that came in at that height. She popped over it. And all we've seen at 4:30 so far are failures. So she has one attempt left, and it's certainly there for Cunliffe. Only 20 years old, and it's quite a tough discipline to master, although try telling that to Mondo Duplantis. So many of these athletes, of course, really grateful for this opportunity to compete after a 2020 competitive year that was torn to shreds by the epidemic. Now Clark, 4:30, no, and that was untidy too. Megan Clark and Cunliffe both struggling at this height. Olivia Groover will be next. Such a great shame that more of the big vaulters from Europe couldn't make their way across the Atlantic for this meeting, but of course travel restrictions are incredibly severe. Few athletes have travelled over in the last 10 days for this meeting, but the vast majority of performers at this New Balance Indoor Grand Prix have been based in the States for some weeks if they're from overseas originally, or indeed are American. There are plenty of races with only American competitors in them, and that's not the way that the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, as I say, usually held in Boston, is normally staged. We love to see international fields. You normally see a mass of top Ethiopian middle distance runners performing. Olivia Groover then, second attempt for Groover at 4:30. She is world number 4 this winter with that 4:78. That's more like it. Yes, nice clearance. And well clear too, Groover. Well, it was her opening height, so she needed that. Didn't want to put herself under undue pressure, although that's exactly what the other two, Chloe Cunliffe and Megan Clark, are under now, as they've both had 2 failures at that height, 4:30. As I said, Sandy Morris, the reigning world indoor champion, will come in, I think, at the next height, 4:45. So back to the track, and it's the men's 300 meters now. This is a discipline, by the way, at which the world best, some people would whisper it and call it a world record, but you can't have world records in non-championship distances unless sanctioned by World Athletics. The world best is held by Noah Lyles. That was back in Albuquerque in March 2017, and I had the privilege of calling that world best by Lyles, 31.87. Anything under 33 is very, very quick running indeed. Now, Taylor McLaughlin goes in lane 3. He's strong. He's a 48.8 400-metre hurdler. Kamari Montgomery goes in lane 4. 45.5 last year for 400 metres. He won the Doha Diamond League at the end of last season in 45.5. Montgomery. He goes in lane 4. And then second to left, as you look at him in the all black, is Trinidad and Tobago's Jareem Richards. Bronze medalist at the World Championships over 200 metres in 2017 in London. He holds the meeting record, does Jareem Richards, 32.10. There's Montgomery, 4. And on the outside, Christopher Taylor of Jamaica, who has been in very good form recently. And away they go. Taylor on the outside running blind in the white, but he ran a 45.7 on the 24th of January, 45.7, and going well. At the moment in lane 5 is Jareem Richards in the all black. Jareem Richards leading. Taylor's got some work to do in the white. Also going well is Montgomery in lane 4. Remember the meeting record held by Jareem Richards in the all black. He's under a bit of pressure here from Montgomery inside him. Is he going to hold it? Coming strongly, Christopher Taylor, but he's not going to get there. He just hangs on to win by half a metre, just Jareem Richards. And that winning time from Jareem Richards, well, wait for it to be confirmed, 32.71. Doesn't compare with his 32.1 set 3 years ago on that Boston track, but a national record for Christopher Taylor of 32.8 in second place on the outside. He had a distinct disadvantage because I think he set off a little too conservatively and he came back really strongly there in the white nearest the camera to nab second place and get between Richards and Montgomery. Richards staying nice and relaxed there. 32.71. There it is. Trinidad and Tobago winning from their Caribbean neighbours, Jamaica. Richards from Taylor, a national record for Taylor. And Montgomery, 32.96 in third. Next event on the track will be the women's 2 miles. That's due off in about 3 minutes' time. This women's pole vault, meanwhile. I can tell you that Chloe and Cunliffe and Megan Clark both failed their third attempts at 4 metres 30. That's 14 feet 1 1/4 inches. I'm afraid Cunliffe at least had come in at 4:15 and had cleared that, and actually lies in second place at the moment. But Megan Clark, no heighted, unfortunately. Big disappointment that. She's a 4:58 vaulter, and the hassles, the complexities, as we see Sandy Morris there getting ready for her first vault, of the complexities of getting to a meeting with those poles from wherever, sometimes the other side of the world for pole vaulters, make it doubly frustrating when they can't get a performance in. Well, a chance now to see off tape the third attempts of Megan Clark, firstly at 4:30. And that one, oh, she just tickled it off. That is so frustrating. It was a nice vault. She is a 4:63 vaulter, remember, outdoors, albeit 5 years ago. But just eases that one off. Well, the bar at 4 metres 45. Waiting for Olivia Groover here to go first, and then Sandy Morris will vault after her. The NCAA Championships, well, you may hear me using that phrase occasion. The National Collegiate Athletic Association Championships of the USA is a massive championships every June, and twice this young lady has taken the pole vault title at the NCAAs, 2017 and 2018. She's also a Pan Am Games finalist in the pole vault. Sandy Morris there, just biding her time, going through her little routines, rituals almost you could call them, I think, for many of these vaulters. Of course, it gives reinforcement, repeating the same series of preparatory movements, even the thinking patterns. Well, we can go back to the track now for this women's 2 miles, and that is the face of Emma Coburn, the world champion back in 2017 in the steeplechase. The American is 30 years old now, took the silver medal in 2019 in Doha over the barriers, wasn't able to retain that title. She was beaten by Beatrice Chepkoech of Kenya. And an athlete who outdoors has come so close to breaking 9 minutes for the steeplechase. Indeed, that silver medal she won in Doha, she ran 9:02 to Chepkoech's 8:57. Now there's a fascinating athlete, Ellie Pourier, won here last year, coached by Mark Coogan, a former US Olympian at the marathon. Has just come back from 5 weeks in Flagstaff training in Arizona at almost 7,000 feet. She's in really good shape. Mark Coogan sending me some of her training results from the last few weeks, just yesterday, and some brilliant work she's been banging out. She did her best session was a 4:30 mile, followed by 4 times 464, and then another 4:30 mile. That was a couple of weeks ago. Pourier last winter broke the US record for the mile indoors. This is 2 miles, a long way for her, but she's strong at 5,000, and away they go. I'll get through the rest of the field for you as they take these early laps in their stride. Emily Lipari is in there, third in Birmingham, Alabama, just 10-12 days ago in 4:14 over 1,500 meters. Leah Falland of the USA is the pacemaker. She was NCAA steeplechase champion back in 2014, Falland. That's a best of 9:18, so she's a world-class steeplechaser, but here she's been asked to go out in 34.5 per lap. That's be 69, obviously, for a 400-meter track. Now watch the clock. 34.5, and that is much too slow. That's around 39 and 38.5, 39 second there from Falland. Well, she really does need to up her game here, because that was several seconds slower than had been requested. Pourier in second, Coburn in third, Schlachtenhausen is there as well. The American won a 4:11 1500 a couple of weeks ago in Birmingham, Alabama. But we were looking at 400 meters for 69 seconds here, and you could see Falland here is way off, going through that, well, in about 73 seconds. She's about 4 seconds off, and that is a massive margin of error, I'm afraid. So, in fact, the official time at the quarter mile was 71.2, so about 72 seconds for 400 meters. So she's around 3 seconds off tempo at the moment, even though they are reduced to single file. But Pourier there in second place. Coburn will have her hands full to match Pourier here. She's long and lean, isn't she, Leah Falland, and now beginning to stride out, and I think, a sense rather, getting back onto schedule. Pourier in second place, was third at the US Championships back in 2019 over 5,000 meters, although I think she's better at the mile at the moment. They go through there in about 2:24 for 800 meters. They were looking for 2:18. Yeah, the half mile. We're getting these mile-related splits and quarter-mile splits, because that, of course, is the what makes sense when this is a 2 miles indoors. The world record, by the way, is 9 minutes and 48 100ths of a second, less than half a second outside 9 minutes. That was by Genzebi Debaba in Birmingham, UK, back in 2014. Meeting record is a pretty respectable 9 minutes 10.5 by Meseret Defar in 2008. That was in Boston, of course. All the performances prior to this year for this meeting set at the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston. And Falland beginning to stride out now. Fastest time in the world this year shouldn't be a challenge. It's 9:47 by Sydney Thorvaldsen back on the 17th of January. Pourier and Coburn in second and third, and looking comfortable. Danielle Jones it is in 4th place, including the pacemaker Falland. Jones, NCAA 5,000 metres champion in 2019, being dragged along here. Poirier in 2nd, virtually the shortest in the race, but has that forward lean of the torso, doesn't she? But she has a fabulous turn of speed, great speed endurance too. Emily Lipari, I think, is the small character in 5th place in the dark strip. And behind her is Helen Schlachtenhauven, studies at Dartmouth College. She's a 4:03 1500 metre runner, Schlachtenhauven, pretty useful. So, Falland from Poirier, then Coburn, followed by Jones and Lipari. Schlachtenhauven there, and gaps just beginning to appear now. Indeed, Schlachtenhauven having trouble staying with this quintet out in front. Lipari working hard to stay on the coattails of Jones there in 4th place. They've gone through a 3/4 mile in 3:32. The first mile in 4:41 by Poirier, who I think now just needs to maintain this tempo for a couple of laps before beginning to wind it up. But maybe she is winding it up already. Looking here at something around 9:20, which would mean 2 times a mile in 4:35. Now Poirier led through 1 mile in 4:41, so they would need to run something just inside 4:30 for this 2nd mile, and she is beginning to wind it up here. Look at Coburn there in 2nd place, hanging onto her coattails. Both of them with that blonde hair flapping from side to side. Coburn, incredibly strong, as are all world-class steeplechasers. And sometimes I wonder why Emma Coburn's best for 3,000 metres on the flat isn't better. She's only run 8:46 outdoors for 3,000 on the flat. Well, that's not even as quick as the world record for the steeplechase, which of course now is down there at 8:44 by Chepkoech a couple of years ago in Monaco. Poirier beginning to work hard now. 8 laps to go. So let me tell you that through to the half mile they ran a 70.51 lap, then a 70.7, then a 69.1, and Poirier has just cranked it up, a 67.9. She's just accelerated by about 1.5 seconds on the previous lap, and that was the quickest of the race. So she's beginning to ask the questions of Coburn here. Coburn recognised the danger, closed right up on her. Lipari back in 3rd place, leads the chasing pack. Rarely run distance this indoors, but Poirier here making a really good fist of it. So 1.5 miles for Poirier, 6:58.57. That was another 68-second lap. Coburn not really showing any signs of stress at the moment, but deeply focused, isn't she, the taller of these 2 athletes? Sometimes all you've got to do is stare at the vest, at the back of the athlete in front of you, and hang on for dear life. Let the laps click by. But Poirier has chosen to take this on. She's doing it the hard way from the front now. She leans into this one as they go through the line. So a little bit more daylight appears. Has she broken 2017 world champion in the steeplechase? That gap is growing with every stride, yes, and surely Coburn now is having to ease back on the throttle as Poirier, who's grimacing. She is working hard here for this. Make no mistake. She's not cruising away from Coburn. She's really digging deep to make this gap count. And she will be away. You sense that you've got daylight behind you. You don't have to glance sometimes. Poirier goes through with 2 laps to run and has, about a 10-metre gap now on Emma Coburn, and that's built up in the space of about 1 lap. Running tremendously strongly, those weeks of hard mileage and hard track sessions up in altitude are being paid for here with interest. getting the return she deserves. Here's the bell there. 8:39 there or thereabouts at the bell. And Ellie Pourier pouring it on. Remember that meeting record, 9:10.50. This could be one of the quickest times in history here by Pourier. She's got wonderful speed, endurance, deceptively strong stride, long stride, and striding away with this one too is Pourier. Being roared on as she drives for the line. Watch the clock. It's going to be mighty close to the meeting record. 9:10. Well, the clock didn't stop there. 9:10.28. And that is a new meeting record for Ellie Pourier. It's a new national record for the American. Last winter, the mile record. This winter, the 2-mile record. And of course, it's the fastest time in the world this year by some 37 seconds and more. Coburn comes through with a personal best of 9:15.71. Staley of Canada, a national record for her in third place, 9:22.66. And Emily Lipari rewarded with fourth place and a personal best, 9:26.87 in fourth place. But that was classical front-running toughness from Ellie Pourier. And that makes her the third fastest athlete in history, by behind Genzebe Debaba and Meseret Defar. Defar running 9:06 in Prague back in 2009, but that is a new national record, fastest time in the world, and a new meeting record for Ellie Pourier in the win, in first place. Indeed, fastest time ever run on US soil. 9:10.28 then, a new meeting record and a national record, as well as that world lead for Ellie Pourier. And to win that 2 miles, Emma Coburn, a good second place there, just out-strengthed over the last couple of laps. And Staley of Canada, a national record for her in third, 9:22.66. Amy Eloise Markovic there, taking third place. Amy Eloise Neal, actually, it should say, a national record for Great Britain, down in 7th place. Well, she has cleared 4:45 as Sandy Morris. Here she goes at 4:60. Groover has failed once at this height. Oh, no. Well, Groover, I can tell you, cleared 4:45 first time. Sandy Morris did as well. But Morris leads by dint of Groover having had a failure back at 4:30 before clearing it a second time of asking. Well, Sandy Morris, we know she's got big vaults in those legs, 4:88 already this winter. That was just last Sunday in Fayetteville, the third American Track League meeting. Those meetings supported by the US Federation have attracted enormous attention. And here is Groover. This was her attempt at 4:45. Which went clear. So at the moment, although Sandy Morris leads on countback, both she and Groover have cleared 4:45 first time, and that was Groover's first failure at 4:60. Now this would throw the cat amongst the pigeons if she could go clear here, Groover, and she's perfectly capable of it. Last week, 4:78 Groover. She is world number 4. Oh, no. Well, the door was ajar. She could have put real pressure there on Sandy Morris, but now Morris will go with her second attempt.
Just for the photograph, just for the selfie, you understand we're changing the finish line board to record that national record for Ellie Pourier.
Morris, one of only 3 athletes in history to have gone over 5 meters, either indoors or out. A lifetime best outdoors, 5 meters exactly, came at the Brussels Diamond League back in 2016. Jen Suhr, by the way. Now a sprightly 35 years old, 38 years old actually, I think, is determined to go for the Olympic Games. She wants to contest the US Olympic trials this coming summer and have one last shot at making the team for Tokyo. Actually, just checking, Jen Suhr was 39 8 days ago, back on the 5th of February, the Friday before last, a week ago yesterday. Now, Sandy Morris. Couldn't compete in the first American Track League meeting back on the 24th of January. She was recovering from having had her dose of COVID-19. She's come out the other side there. Katie Najot has wrapped up her season as well. She also caught it. No, dear oh dear. Out of sorts, Jen Suhr. 2 refusals in effect. That's unusual for her at what is a modest height for a 5-meter vaulter. Like so many athletes in what would have been a post-Olympic year, but of course now we're in pre-Olympic period of 2021. She's changed sponsors as Sandy Morris. A massive amount of leapfrogging and shifting around amongst the top athletes when it comes to sponsorship, corporations changing their policies. Well, we have been treated to some fabulous performances through these last couple of World Indoor Tour meetings, and today will be no exception. We can go back to the track now for the women's 60 meters final. There is Nakia Briscoe, the 24-year-old, only 4th in her heat in 7.20. She's a 7.04 performer at her best. That last winter. Kayla White goes in lane 2, 3rd in her heat in 7.18. Kayla White, that equals her lifetime best actually. She's a 10.95 performer for 100 outdoors. She's much better over the 100. Anna Cunliffe goes in lane 3. Cunliffe, 2nd in her heat in 7.17. That was a season's best for her, but she has gone quicker in Albuquerque 4 years back. Aaliyah Hobbs goes in lane 4. Now Hobbs in good form, won a heat in 7.10. Hobbs, that is makes her the equal 2nd fastest athlete in the world this year. Candice Hill goes in lane 5. Hill was the heat winner of the first heat, 7.16. Has she got more in the tank? Akinosun, more like Akinosun, 2nd in her heat in 7.20. Former Nigerian. Runs for the USA these days, world champion in the sprint relay back in 2017. Jenna Prandini, well, Prandini, better known as a 200-meter runner. This is a little on the short side for her, but she is a massive talent. 28 years old now, was 4th in the 2nd heat. She got through as a non-automatic qualifier to this, so hence she's in lane 8, Prandini. And she's a world championship silver medalist in the 4x100 back in 2015 in Beijing. So, the 2 heat winners, Candice Hill goes in 5, and Leah Hobbs goes in lane 4. Line up from the far side, Briscoe in 1, White in 2, Cunliffe 3, Hobbs in 4, Hill in 5, Akinosun 6, Williams 7, Prandini 8. Remember Hobbs, by some margin the quickest. Oh, and I think that was Hobbs who twitched. Oh dear, oh dear. Yep. I think Hobbs full started. And if that is confirmed, she could be down and out. That would be an enormous shame. Well, the reaction times, watch. Yeah, left a picture there. You saw Hobbs twitch. And you have no one to blame. Incredibly frustrating. I suppose all the more frustrating because it's your own fault when it happens as a sprinter or a sprint hurdler. But is she going to be allowed to restart? I don't think there's any doubt that she full started. Hobbs then. Has some medals to her name from relays, and she is indeed, I'm afraid, shown the red card. That's a great shame. She's a 10.85 100-meter sprinter. Top draw sprinter over the 100. Watch left of picture just to confirm this. Yep. Big twitch. Well, lady from New Orleans has taken it on the chin with real dignity. Enormous frustration, of course, for her. Williams is a non-starter. Brianna Williams anyway in lane 7. And Hobbs now out with a full start. So, only 6 athletes. Briscoe in 1, White in 2, Cunliffe in 3, Hill goes in 5, winner of the first heat. Akinnison 6, Prandini to the left in lane 8. Away they go. Terrible start from Hill. Goodness me, she's got some work to do, but she's come back, and it's taken there, I think, by White over on the far side. I think that was White in lane 2. Kayla White, 7.15, runs a new personal best. Well, she was only 3rd in her heat in 7.18. 7.15. She equaled her lifetime best in her heat and now improved by 3/100ths of a second to take the final. That is quite a turn-up. Quite what happened to Hill, I do not know, in lane 5. Sandy Morris then. That's more like it. Pressure was on. 4.60 for the 3rd time for the American. She's normally one of those athletes that bubbles and smiles pretty much all the time. But she was looking very serious as she came off the mat there, despite that clearance at 15 feet 1, 4.60. But goodness me. Hill there, Candice Hill, had an appalling start in the light blue, never gave herself a chance. I mean, the fact that she's actually pulled through there. Candice Hill finishing in 3rd place in 7.19 is miraculous because she got an awful start. Bit of a turn up in the women's 60 metres then. One of the favourites, Hobbs, going out with a full start. Hill having a dreadful start, the winner of the other heat. Kayla White taking the opportunity, 7.15 to reclaim a big victory. Hannah Cunliffe equal her season's best with 7.17. And Hill with that 3rd place, but I doubt she'll be happy with it. Prandini, 7.19. A season's best for her too. Close to her lifetime best. Well, that's the pole vault final standings. Sandy Morris going clear 3rd time at 4.60. Being told that is the final standing. And therefore, I assume, not planning to vault on. Olivia Groover had 3 failures at 4.60 after her first time clearance at 4.45. 3rd was Chloe Cunliffe, that one and only clearance at 4.15, her opening height. And then she failed 3 times at 4.30, as did Megan Clark, unfortunately for whom it was her opening height. Sandy Morris, well, 4.60 for an athlete of her calibre. The 3rd time clearance at that height would be a meagre return. I wonder if she is still suffering from the effects of COVID-19. It affects everybody differently, remember. Plenty of people say that it leaves them with fatigue for weeks afterwards, and then there's the long version of the post-COVID effects, which leave some people debilitated. Well, as far as we're aware, indefinitely. Enormously difficult if you're a world-class athlete who's used to a body doing what it's told, more or less, but has to adapt to a ravaging illness that has changed all of our lives forever, surely. Who can forget a year like the one we've just had? So Morris, is she going to vault on? I think she is. This is Olivia Groover. She'd had 2 failures at 460, 15 feet 1 a height. She's well capable of this, her third and final attempt. Oh, that was desperately close. That was a 99%er. But that's not good enough in the vertical jumps, is it? Unfortunately. The most unforgiving discipline of all. High jump, the pole vault. Well, the standings, as opposed to the result, show Sandy Morris, of course, as the winner, currently with 460. And we'll come back to that if she does vault on. The men's 1,000 metres, and what a race this promises to be. There is Bryce Hoppel, the world #1 at the moment, over 800 metres. He won by a country mile to run 144 just recently, 144.37 in Fayetteville. He was the world #2 last summer. He was 4th at the World Championships in 2019. He's still only 23. Charlie Grice, well, in great form, Charlie Grice. Has been staying in Phoenix for the last couple of weeks. He's been struggling with a left hamstring injury, he told me, over a couple of days ago. He's roomed with Craig Engels, the training group in Phoenix. But this is a small field, but a top field. Marco Arop in this 1,000 metres, 5 laps of the track. Goes for Canada, Pan Am Games champion back in 2019. So away they go. Now, pacemaker Mike Columbus on the outside has been asked to go out in 52 seconds for 400, so 26 for 200, and maintain that pace through to 400 at 52 and then 600 in 79.5. The world record, by the way, is 2:14.2. Now, not suggesting necessarily that Bryce Hoppel is capable of that at the moment, but when you win pretty comfortably in 1:44 at 800 metres, then you have got a very quick 1,000 in you. He's a lovely, relaxed-looking athlete, isn't he, Hoppel? Up on his toes there in front. Charlie Grice slots in to 3rd place, effectively 2nd in the race, as Columbus takes them through 300 and around 41. I'm not quite sure it's quick enough. Certainly Hoppel doesn't look too keen to go with this. Arop back in 4th place in the All Black. Piazza, Drew Piazza, all 6'1" of him, is a 1:45 performer in the white vest, 2nd from the back, and in the yellow bringing up the rear is Victor Palumbo, who's 3:58 mile. They might struggle when they really do rack this up. So Hoppel from Grice, bit of a gap back to Arop already. Went through a 600 and 1:23. It's way, way slower than was planned. They've decided not to really go for it here. 55 seconds it was at 400, 55.3, and then 83 at 600. Now Hoppel begins to wind it up. He's got wonderful speed. This man who won a massive series of 800-metre races back in 2018 as a collegiate, 2019. So Hoppel and Grice, 1 lap to run. They go through 800 there and almost exactly 150. Now, has Grice got the speed? He's in very good shape, 145.6 to finish 2nd behind Hoppel in Fayetteville a couple of weeks ago, but Hoppel now in the black begins to wind it up. Arop is still there and could be a danger. The Canadian in 3rd place is moving wide to get past Grice, but Hoppel eases clear. Hoppel drives for the line and now unleashes it, as does Arop, who's going to finish 2nd place. Watch the clock, 2:16.28 from Bryce Hoppel. It's a national record for Bryce Hoppel. He breaks the American record. Fabulous stuff from him. Well, it was Dave Torrance's, the late Dave Torrance's, 2:16.76, and Bryce Hoppel has just taken almost half a second off it, 0.49 of a second off that US record. It's a world lead, 2:16.27, and in fact it does make him about the 8th fastest man in history. Well, and that is with pace making and an early pace that was incredibly conservative. Hoppel here puts in a startling final lap. Got to 800 in 149.74. So I got his last lap at about 26.5, 26.53 in fact. But, well, I suppose he got the win, he got the US record, but I think he could have gone so much quicker. Arop 2:17.10. Charlie Grice does get that national record that he was chasing. That's wonderful. It belonged to Jake Whiteman. He said to me a couple of days ago, I really want the British record, and he gets it. That is Charlie Grice battling all the way to the line to stay on the heels of Arop. Drew Piazza a personal best, and Victor Palumbo as well a personal best. Well, that perhaps the track performance of the meeting so far. Poirier's 2 miles was an American record, and that from Bryce Hoppel, a US record as well. So, 4 meters 70 for Sandy Morris. This is getting into serious territory. No, run straight through, and she's definitely unhappy with something. Not quite sure what. A lot of the athletes in technical events, and remember, there is no event more technical than the pole vault. A lot of athletes in technical events tend to be a little bit rusty in the indoor season. They're building on their strength through the months of the autumn, the fall as the Americans call it. Come to the indoor season so often very bulked up and strong, but not necessarily technically that polished. Sandy Morris, well, whichever state she is in, we do know she's recovering from COVID-19. So maybe that just taking the edge off her abilities this middle of February indoor season. The US Indoor Championships, which were due to be in Albuquerque in a couple of weeks' time, they have been cancelled. Milrose Games, normally at the Armory Center in uptown New York, cancelled because as soon as President Biden got in, he made it a vaccination center. There is no better reason, of course, for a meet to be cancelled, but I think the Armory meeting has been going for, the Milrose Games have been going for many, many decades, and this is the first time it's not been held. Great shame. So, she was given a bye, effectively, at that first attempt at 470, I understand. Sandy Morris? No. That looked rather laboured, didn't it? Well, the on-screen graphics are contradicting my computer graphics, which was just saying that that was an attempt at 475. So a little bit of confusion going on in the works. Difficult for Sandy Morris when she hasn't had anybody to push her. The European outdoor circuit at these sorts of heights, she'd have 2 or 3 competitors up against her, I'm sure. That's frustrating because that was a pretty good vault. I thought Sandy had the height there, Sandy Morris. She's getting plenty of feedback from her coaches, Sandy Morris.
On the track, it's time for the New Balance men's 1500
sure
for lineup displayed on the scoreboard. It's a double-decker start from
what it is that she's struggling with.
Of Germany, national champion. Drawn 2, former NCAA champion from
the next event on the track will be the men's 1500 meters.
Drawn 3.
That is the top field as we see Morris preparing for her next vault, determined to vault on clearly, make those adjustments and get it right. When it gets to this point, you've won by a clear height. It is almost an exhibition for Sandy Morris, and with every vault being analysed and discussed with her coach. Now, some people don't like the expression, but you could call it it's a training session, because she's vaulting against herself just polishing her technique here.
Next, the national champion indoors and out for the USA, Craig Engels. Then a man who's run 3 minutes 29, fifth in the World Championships for Great Britain.
Sandy Morris. Well, she is 28. She's in her prime. When you think that Jen Short is 39, more than 10 years older, this lady, who is the reigning world indoor champion, could go on vaulting for many more years yet, and can certainly improve her personal best. There's no doubt about that. Well, back to the track then for this men's mile. There's Jake Whiteman, 3:29 last summer outdoors, the European Championship bronze medalist. And he was 5th in Doha at the World Championships. He held until 5 minutes ago the UK 1,000 metre record indoors. Craig Engels, who's been rooming with Charlie Grice beside him. Engels is 10th at the World Championships. It's a 3:34 performer outdoors. Nick Willis is in there as well. He's the New Zealand record holder and most experienced in the field at the age of 37. He's been running sub 4 minutes miles for 16 years as Nick Willis. There he is. The black strip to the left of picture now with that white diagonal line across his vest. Gregorek in the blue. I used to race against his dad, about 100 years ago. Silver medalist in the Pan Am Games back in 2019, Johnny Gregorek, but he too is a 3:49 miler indoors. The pacemaker is Hazem Miawad of the USA, looking for 400 metres in 56 seconds. And it looks like they're up for it, this field. It's quite a big field, but they're moving well. 300 there, in about 42 and a half. Jake Whiteman, who has been training out in Dubai, where many British athletes have had a squad training centre, and has been training in the USA as well. Going well in 2nd place. And looking very much up for this. Engels back in 4th place at the moment. Well, they've gone through 400 metres. Just waiting for that 57.06. So a little bit slower than was requested, but it's not bad. That's Hunter, Drew Hunter in there as well. Drew Hunter of the USA, US indoor champion at 2 miles back in 2019. He's in 3rd place behind. About 5th place is Hunter, 5th or 6th place. Miawad then from Whiteman. And it is Hoare who is in 3rd place. Oliver Hoare, NCAA champion back in 2018. So it's Bryce, it's now Whiteman from Hoare. Engels moving well. Engels famed for that mullet style haircut. Tanner it is in 4th place. Sam Tanner, twice New Zealand champion, and is a 3:54 mile, but Whiteman is making them work for this now. Whiteman from Hoare. Engels has been dropped. He can't go with this mid-race surge from Jake Whiteman, who's gone through 800 and 154.4. Maintain that tempo from the first lap. Remember, 57.0 the first lap. 154.4 at 800 metres. And Whiteman continues to pour it on here. We know he's in great shape. Jake Whiteman, 5th at the World Championships in Doha. Hoare hanging on to his coattails here. And we know that Hoare, the Australian, in his first race of the year, will have come off an Australian summer and is enjoying this as they hit the bell there, and around 3:04, 3:05, it's going to be quick. Whiteman pushing on. He has an indoor best of 3:37. Surely he's going to improve on that as Hoare moves up alongside the Brit. Now, has Whiteman got anything left in those legs? I don't think he has, because Hoare kicks away on this final bend. Some of the Australians have been producing wonderful times in recent weeks, and this is going to be a wonderful win for Hoare. Oliver Hoare, the 24-year-old Australian, comes home across the line. 3:32.36. Wow. That makes him about the 6th fastest in history at this distance. Just checking, the 7th fastest in history at this distance. Brilliant stuff from Hoare. Boy, oh boy. Well, that is an Australian indoor record. There's no doubt about it. And Whiteman unknowingly becoming the perfect pacemaker for Hoare there. And Whiteman's time, 3:34.48, is a personal best too. Wow. Kicking off a pace as quick as that takes some doing. But the Australians have a new champion in that young man, surely, in years to come. Now, back to Sandy Morris. Can she polish things up technically? She's had 2 failures at 475, 15 feet 7, third and final attempt. No, and that looked tired actually, didn't it? Middle shake of the head. Well, she took 3 attempts to get over 460. It's a frustrating day for World Indoor Champion. Despite taking the win, I think that was pretty much a foregone conclusion that she would indeed have the win here. Let's take a look at it again. No, didn't really have the height or the momentum, did she? Well, she won't be happy. By the way, that 1,500 metres finishing time of Oliver Hoare is a national record. As I said, the 7th fastest time in history. Jake Whiteman, 3:34.48. It's only 0.28 of a second outside the British record, which belongs to Peter Elliott, set in Seville back in 1990. Confirmation of the win for Sandy Morris. 4.60 metres from Oliver Groover, 4:45, and Cunliffe on 4:15 in that women's pole vault. Baden Clark, unfortunately, no heighting there. Of course, with vaccines taking place all over the world, we do hope that the world of sport and the world of track and field athletics can begin to return to something resembling normal by the early summer, maybe April, May. That is the great hope. Of course, still a question mark of whether or not the Olympic Games will go ahead in Tokyo. It seems almost every day there are new theories on social media, people claiming to have insider knowledge that a decision has been made one way or the other. Others saying there are very strong arguments and reasons to believe that they will indeed go ahead in Tokyo. Of course, I for one, I'm sure many of you listening, hope and pray that the world is in a suitable state to be able to see those Olympic Games go ahead in the Japanese capital. Well, just looking at the times from that men's 1,500 metres, Sam Tanner set a New Zealand national record in 3rd place, 3:34.72. And there was a slew of personal bests further down. Sam Prakel, 3:36.36. Craig Engels, 3:36.49. Those were all personal bests. John Gregoric, 3:37.22 was a personal best, even though he ran a 3:49 indoor mile a couple of years ago. Thomas Keane, Great Britain in that race, was tailed off the back, unfortunately. 3:46 for him. But there is an athlete and a half. Shawnee Miller-Weibo of the Bahamas, the Rio Olympic champion at 400 metres, and this is the ladies' 400 metres, the next event on the track. She goes in lane 5. Those long Bahamian legs will appreciate that outer lane draw. Outside her is the world champion back in 2017, Phyllis Francis of the USA. So this is quite some clash. Now, if you cast your minds back to Doha in 2019, as we see Phyllis Francis, you will remember that Aid Nasser of Bahrain won the world title in 48.14, making her the number 3 all-time at 400 metres outdoors. Shawnee Miller-Weibo finished in 2nd place behind her. But that is a heck of a clash. Miller-Weibo, World Championship silver medalist in in 2019 against the 2017 world champion, Phyllis Francis. In lane 3 is Jessica Beard, world champion in the 4x400 meters for the USA on 3 occasions in 2009, 2011, 2013, and a former NCAA champion. There's Wade Line-Jonathas of the USA, 4th in the World Championships in 2019. She goes in lane 4, so she is a top performer as well. Best of 49.6 outdoors. Well, look at Shawnee Miller-Weibo in the pink. Powered away through the first 100 meters, making her intent very, very clear indeed. 2 laps of the track for Miller-Weibo. She breaks from lanes at those little cones there, and she heads for the apex. And what's the time at 200? Well, the clock didn't stop, unfortunately, but we know this is fast. Miller-Weibo way ahead there at 200. And down the back straight, Jonathas trying to come back at her, but Miller-Weibo pushing on through 300 meters and around 37.5. Watch this. Now, watch the clock. It's the fastest time in the world this year, 50.52 by Athing Mu. Watch the clock, and it's so close, 50.22. Improves the world best by 0.3 of a second. 50.21, the time is confirmed as it's a national record for the Bahamian. A previous personal best indoors set 8 years ago, 50.88. She really went for that, made her intentions incredibly clear from the gun. Never considered anybody else, did she? And that 50.21, by the way, it is confirmed, just checking, makes her equal 8th fastest in history at this distance. World record by Jarmila Kratochvilova, set back in 1982 by the Czech, 49.49. Only 3 athletes have ever gone under 50 seconds indoors, but 50.21 in what was a front-running, totally dominant performance from Miller-Weibo. Well, it tells me there's more to come. A national record 50.21 for the Bahamian Miller-Weibo to win that 400. Wade Line-Jonathas 51.95, a season's best. Beard and Francis bringing up the rear. But Miller-Weibo, well, once she gets those long legs unleashed, let's forget she's run 21.7 for 200. She has got her best years ahead of her. I've no doubt about that. She's 26 at the moment. All she's had to sharpen for this race was the 200 meters at the American Track League second meeting on the 31st of January, where she ran 22.40, which went through 200 here in 23.9. Then held that form really well to record that win by over 1.5 seconds here. Maybe if she'd had a bit more of a race in her hands, and we'd have seen her go quicker, possibly even dip under 50 seconds. Feeling she might save her really best form for the coming summer. She is the reigning Olympic champion at 400, don't let's forget. She will want more than anything to retain that title come Tokyo in, what, 5 or 6 months' time. Is it really that soon? About 6 months away. Wow. Well, it's a new meeting record, of course. Shakima Wimbley had the meeting record of 51.82 back in 2018. And it eclipses Athing Mu's world best performance of 50.52. Great 400 from Miller-Weibo. Now the men's 800 meters, athletes out on the track. Donovan Brazier is the reigning world champion outdoors over 2 laps, over 4 laps indoors. How will he go here today? It's his first race. He planned to race just a couple of weeks ago, but a COVID contact stopped him from racing. He had to spend 5 days in his hotel room. All he could do was some exercises. He couldn't do any actual running, Donovan Brazier. Eric Sawinski, excuse me, bronze medalist at the World Indoor Championships in Portland on the west coast of the USA back in 2016. Is a prolific racer, 31 years old now. And a good runner too. 144 he's run outdoors, 144.5 outdoors. He ran 145 for third place behind Hoppel and Charlie Grice a couple of weeks ago in Fayetteville. But Donovan Brazier, old teammate of Clayton Murphy, actually trains with Charlie Grice and Engels as well, so he spent the last few weeks in Phoenix, Arizona to get a little bit of warmth in those legs. He said if he wasn't an athlete, he'd like to be a basketball player or a football player. But back in 2018, he ran the second fastest time in history to Donovan Brazier.
We're ready for the men's 800 meters. The full lineup is displayed on the scoreboard.
Over indoor 800
Welcome them starting from the
for an
inside
American.
with a 146.
World lead, 144.37. That is his target, I think, by Bryce Hoppel, who has today broken the American record at 1,000 meters. The world record, well, that might be a little bit too much to ask. I remember commentating back in 1997 on Wilson Kipketer, the Danes' amazing victory at the World Indoor Championships, 142.67. I'm not sure we'll see a 142 here today, but that world best time of Bryce Hoppel, 144.37, remains a real target for Donovan Brazier here. Sawinski loves to front run, but I don't know if he will here today. He might want to hang on to the coattails of Brazier. Jamie Webb goes in this as well for Great Britain, European Indoor Championship silver medalist in 2019. Webb is in lane 2. Well, a pacemaker is James Bias. And he's been asked to go out in 24.5 and 49.5. And Brazier, the tall, striding American in second place, is going with him and is up for this clearly. Well, it's very fast, there's no doubt about it. 24.37 at 200. James Bias, even quicker than he was asked. And he needs to have a little glance around here because he's so far ahead, he's not really any help to Brazier. You don't need an 8-meter lead to your pacemaker, you want about a 2-meter lead. He should be dragging Brazier around here. Maybe he went a little too quick there, did Bias. Well, Brazier has gone through 451.1. That is quick, there's no doubt about it. Sawinski in second place. Webb in third place, the Briton. Had 2 good races recently, a couple of 146s in Vienna and Ostrava on the European circuit. But it's still Sawinski from Webb playing catch-up here behind Donovan Brazier. He's got a lap to run. That hunch-shoulder style of his beginning to drive hard and work here as he goes through the bell. 600 metres in 1:17.37. It's going well so far for Donovan Brazier. Watch the clock. This could be special. Only 2 men have ever gone under 144. Kipketer and Saruni of Kenya. The Dane holds the world record. Brazier leads by 15 metres. Webb in second place, but he's way, way back. Look at the clock. 1:44.22. Oh, it's the 5th fastest time in history. In fact, he equals, if that time is confirmed. No, he's improved his own personal best by 1/100th of a second. 1:44.21, a US record yet again. Donovan Brazier runs the fastest time in the world this year. Jamie Webb, a personal best in second, 1:46.26. Sawinski in third, outside 1:47. But Donovan Brazier there, driving hard. He's a big fella. Got a long stride. He looks so relaxed. Holding his form well is Brazier. Still only 23. He's got so much more to come as those years of hard training accumulate. 1:44.21, a US record for him. And he knew it. I think 1:44.22 came up on the clock and it's been adjusted downwards in his favour by 1/100th of a second. Donovan Brazier, a national record over 800 metres, 1:44.21, improves his own national record by 1/100th of a margin from Jamie Webb's personal best there, the Briton in second. Sawinski third, 1:47.65. The rest of them some way back, but we knew that was going to be about Donovan Brazier and by how much he could win today, for all intents and purposes, barring disaster. And he produces the goods with interest to set that national record. Well, it makes him equal 4th fastest man in history behind Wilson Kipketer of Denmark's world record, Michael Saruni of Kenya back in 2019 when ran 1:43.98. Yuri Bortsakovsky, remember him in Karlsruhe back in 2001, running 1:44.15. And then Donovan Brazier equals the 4th fastest time in history by Emmanuel Corrier, set in 2018 with that national record. So 3 national records today for the Americans. Bryce Hoppel over 1,000 meters, Donovan Brazier over 800 meters, Elie Pourier over 2 miles. They are having a special day at the Ocean Breeze Athletic Center. Mark Wetmore there in the suit we saw very briefly. The meeting director will be cock-a-hoop with the way this has gone. Well, the hard training in Phoenix, Arizona has clearly benefited. It's slightly at altitude. It's about 1,000 feet, Phoenix, Arizona. It's not significantly at altitude. You have to get up to 1,000 meters before people really start squinting at times. And for the sprints, for example, an asterisk appears beside times. The next event on the track will be the men's 60 meters final. And it's delicately balanced, I think we can say, the 60 final for men. He had one no-show in the women's 60 final, and then a full start from the pre-race favourite. And she was disqualified. And then a dreadful start from the next favourite. Ended up with a strange old result in that women's 60 metres. If I just remind you that it was Kayla White who won with a personal best of 7.15 from Hannah Cunliffe's 7.17 and Candice Hill 7.19. It was actually very tight. Jenna Prandini 7.19 in 4th place and Moraleka Kinnuson 7.20. So 5 100ths of a second covered the first 5 athletes in that women's 60. And actually, for good measure, Mika Briscoe 7.21. So 6 100ths of a second covered the first 6 in the women's 60. Well, Bromell will start here as favourite. He is the world number 1. He won his heat in 6.53, the fastest in qualifying. Trayvon Bromell is he is the world indoor champion from Portland in 2016 and an Olympic finalist too in Rio at 100 meters. He was the first junior to break the 10-second barrier in the 100 meters. Trayvon Bromell studied film and digital media studies at Baylor University. There is Kemp. He goes in lane 1. Demet Kemp, world number 3 last winter with a personal best in Madrid of 6.48. If he could repeat that here, he could threaten for the win. He goes in 1. Jalen Bacon goes in lane 2. Best of 6.56. Recently 6.71 in the American Track League. Eady goes in lane 3. Maurice Eady, 6.63 for a season's best a couple of weeks back. Then Bromell goes in 4, right in the centre, of course, where you find the heat winners. You remember, won his heat in 6.53. Marvin Bracey, 6.65. He won the second heat, World Indoor Championship silver medalist back in 2014. In lane 6 is Carnes, Brandon Carnes. And Carnes, bronze medalist in the US Indoor Championships last winter in Albuquerque. Mario Burke of Barbados goes in lane 7. Didn't run fast last summer, but he is a 9.98 sprinter, Burke, outdoors. And then Kevaughn Rattray of Jamaica completes the lineup in lane 8. Rattray, 6.56. His lifetime best set last winter, again with the altitude assistance of Albuquerque. That's a convention center in New Mexico at about 6,000 or 7,000 feet. But expect the action to come from the two heat winners. Trayvon Bromell in lane 4 and Marvin Bracey in lane 5. Good start there in lane 3 for Meady, really good start, but here comes Bromell. Bromell leading and pushing hard through the second half. Takes it with daylight behind him, and that is brilliant from Bromell. Oh, what's the time he's been given? 6.50. I was expecting it to be a little better, I must admit. I think it deserved better, because that was a massive winning margin. He must have had almost 2 meters between himself and the rest, and that lead, frankly, was built up in the last 25 meters, because he wasn't leading after 10 or 20. Watch it again. Great start from Edie there in the blue. Then Bromell now starts pushing ahead and builds over the last 20. In the white, right in the center. Head down for a long time. Comes up there at about 25 meters. No contest, was it? Damel Kemp, 6.65 in second. And Bracey could do no better than fourth, 6.67. And he will be very, very frustrated with that. Bracey, 6.67 for fourth place. He ran 6.65 in his heat, and he always expects to go a little bit better come the final. Confirmation of that comfortable win for Trayvon Bromell, 6.50 in the men's 60 metres from Damek Kemp, 6.65 as season's best, and Edie and Bracey in third and fourth. On that 6.50 from Bromell. Only he has gone quicker than that this winter. Anything under 6.50 is pretty rare, so it is quick. Arthur Cisse of the Ivory Coast is second fastest in the world this year with 6.53, and then Ronnie Baker, who didn't race here sadly, is world number 3 with 6.53. Baker, of course, is third fastest man in history behind Christian Coleman, Maurice Green. Coleman 3 years ago running that world record of 6.34 in Albuquerque. Commentated on that race, and it was special. It makes me believe that Coleman, despite the controversies of these last few months, will one day run much faster than his personal best outdoors for 100 meters. Well, Bromell producing the goods in style. It's one thing to win your event, win your discipline. It's quite another to dominate the opposition. Here's a man who's used to dominating the opposition. And what can he do today? Noah Lyles ran in the 60-meter heats earlier. And, well, it was, as I said earlier on, a warm-up for him, really. He ran 6.76. I don't think he ever expected to do anything spectacular in that. He'd already said that if he made it through to the final of the 60, he wouldn't contest it, because this is his main goal, the 200 meters. This is his specialist event. He holds the world best for 300 meters indoors. He has enormous strength. I'd love to see him run a 400, and I asked him actually summer before last if we're ever going to see him run a 400, and he just shook his head and laughed out loud and said, absolutely not. He is a sprinter. It's easy to forget that he's run 9.86 for 100. And probably this is his best event, the 200 meters. The world record, by the way, just to mark your cards, is 19.92 by Frankie Fredericks all the way back in 1996. In fact, it was the 18th of February 1996, which by my calculations makes it 5 days short of 25 years ago. Frightening fact is, I remember commentating on the race. But Lyles will go in lane 5. He's got a good lane draw. Inside him will be Jaron Flournoy, who is a 20.5 athlete. That was 3 years ago for Flournoy. Lyles in 5, and in lane 6, Dion Lendor of Trinidad and Tobago has run 20.89 this winter. Noah Lyles, well, he's the reigning world champion, of course, at 200 metres from Doha. He's had a series of Diamond League wins over the last 4 summers, 2017, 18, 19 and 20. He's fabulously consistent. Touch wood, and I don't want to jinx him, but he seems to be one of those athletes who can shrug off any injuries or niggles he might get. We saw there the world record of Fredericks. The meeting record is 20.72, and I would say that is living its last few minutes at 20.72. Season's best in the world is 20.45 by Courtney Lindsay. That was in Lubbock, Texas, a month ago on the 16th of January, and I think that too might be living on borrowed time. But Noah Lyles here, well, surely he's looking for something very special. His lifetime best indoors is 20.63, but he's worth many, many seconds quicker than that. That was back in 2016. Lyles, well, he's surely capable of going close to 20 seconds, if not inside 20 seconds. He's introduced to the arena there, although not the usual roar of appreciation from the crowd we'd expect to be in attendance. Nice pause there just to raise the tempo, the pressure on these 3 athletes for this men's 200 metres at this new Balance Indoor Grand Prix here in the Ocean Breeze Athletic Complex, Staten Island, about half an hour's drive to the south of New York. Jaron Flournoy of the USA goes in lane 4. Noah Lyles in 5, the reigning world outdoor champion at 200. Dion Lendor, Trinidad and Tobago in the red on the outside. Lyles taking a little while to get into his running, but now he begins to stride away. It's fairly even at the moment at 100 metres. Now Lyles' strength should come to the fore now. Good running from Flournoy in lane 4. He's holding Lyles, or was. Lyles leading by a metre or so. Pushing hard towards the line. Goes through there. 20.80. Well, I rather feel Lyles might be disappointed with that. He looks puzzled. There was I'm not surprised. There was a frown on his face just now, as if to say, are you sure? 20.80 has come up, confirmed winning time. Lendor gave him a run for his money, second in 20.92, the man from Trinidad and Tobago. Jaron Flournoy, 21.26 in 3rd place. But this is where Lyles you'd expect to ease away, but real grit and determination there from Lendor to keep the American in his sights. He does win, but he doesn't set a personal best, and he goes away, I think, rather nonplussed there. Noah Lyles, yeah, I'm not surprised. I think he's deeply disappointed with that. The important thing is in one piece, he's got the win, and he can push on to whether it's more indoor racing this winter or indeed the outdoor season in fine fettle. All of this, of course, is a build-up to the outdoor season and those Olympic Games, hopefully. But Noah Lyles there, 20.80. I have a strong feeling he hasn't run that slow for 200 metres, indoors or out, for quite a few years. I mean, it only makes him about 11th fastest in the world this year. Confirmation of the win, 20.80 for Noah Lyles from Lendor's 20.92 and Flournoy 21.26. I think the American, the reigning world outdoor champion at 200, was expecting to go considerably quicker than that. But he is a delightful fella. And his brother has set up a foundation, a charitable foundation, which is being advertised around the track. And he's a bubbly, positive character, loads of energy. one of those people who his default setting seems to be positivity. That's not always the case with athletes who are in the spotlight and have to put up with a lot of media pressure and attention, but he's an absolute delight to chat to, Noel Lyles. Another very special sprint race come out, the men's 400 metres. There is Mike Norman, world junior champion back in 2016 at 200 metres, and he too is an extraordinary talent. His best 100, 9.86, his best 200, 19.70, in his best 400, 43.45. He only had one race last year. That was on the 20th of July, and it was a 9.86. He didn't do anything else in 2020, literally just one 100-metre race. Rai Benjamin, well, this could be the real challenger to Mike Norman. He's the third fastest in history at 400-metre hurdles, Rai Benjamin, 46.98. He's a member of that very select club of athletes who have gone under 47 seconds for 400 metres, something that even the great Ed Moses couldn't do. Benjamin then is going to measure his, set his blocks up. This race, the 400, due underway in about a minute's time, so they might be a little late as they get these blocks lined up. Winston George of Guyana goes in lane 2. He ran a useful 34.6 for 300 on the 9th of January in New York. Tyrell Richard goes in lane 3. This is his first race of 2021. He's a 44.7 performer outdoors. Vern Norwood goes in lane 4. Norwood, well, a familiar name. He's a member of the US 4x400 squad on many occasions. Has silver medals from World Indoors, long relay in 2016 and 2018. Best of 44.40 back in 2019 as an individual 400-metre runner. Mike Norman in lane 5 with Rai Benjamin in lane 6. This is a special clash, something to really get the juices flowing. Norman was twice a world junior champion back in 2016, firstly at 200 metres and then in the sprint relay with his 3 compatriots. He's had Diamond League wins aplenty in 2018 and 2019. Born in San Diego, likes a bit of basketball in his spare time and is a training partner and teammate of Rai Benjamin. Said he hopes to become a sports broadcaster one day. Let's hope that one day is a few years away yet, for my sake. He is only 23, so it probably is. I think he's got a bit of business to attend to on the 400-metre outdoor track and the 200-metre indoor track yet. So Mike Norman then, big fan of the music of Kanye West. Comes from an American father and a Japanese mother. Having to adjust their starting blocks is causing the delay. This was due off at 54, this race, so they're only a minute or so behind schedule, if that. But now they're ready. Now Rai Benjamin to the left of picture. He too is only 23. His indoor best is only 46.59. But he has run 44.3 outdoors, so there's a chunk to be lopped off that for Rai Benjamin. But will it be out in front or in the wake of one of the others? Most likely Mike Norman. Long wait for these athletes before the men's 400 metres gets underway, and what a lineup it is. Winston George of Guyana in 2, Tyrell Richard of the USA in 3, Vern Norwood of the USA goes in 4. He's a 44.4 man outdoors, but outside him the big names. Mike Norman, who's a 43.45 performer goes in lane 5, has a best of 44.5 indoors. And Rai Benjamin, World Championship silver medalist at 400 metre hurdles in lane 6. Two 23-year-olds, Norman and Benjamin, in lanes 5 and 6. Mike Norman has gone off the quicker of the two. I think has already taken a metre or so out of that lead of Rai Benjamin outside him. Looks very relaxed, doesn't he, does Norman? Also going well inside them, Vern Norwood in the white top, but as they come down into the straight and break from lanes, it's Mike Norman who has a slight lead on his training partner, Rai Benjamin. They go through 200 metres there. Was it particularly quick at 200? 21.67, nothing so special, but down the back straight now, Rai Benjamin challenging on the outside. Norman ups his game to keep his training partner at bay. They come off the bend side by side. Rai Benjamin's had to run the longer line round the outside. That could make the difference as they drive for the line. They pull away from Norwood. As they come to the line there, it's Michael Norman who takes it. And that winning time, 45.34. Well, wonderful, wonderful racing between these two. 45.34 for Norman to Rai Benjamin, 45.39. 5/100ths of a second in it at the line. Anything down in the low 45s indoors is special. Norman, who holds the world record indoors with 44.52, looked to be labouring a little bit round that final bend. Down the home straight here, Rai Benjamin looked more relaxed, but just couldn't get back to his friend and training partner. Look how relaxed Rai Benjamin is there to the left. Norman holding his form too, and just taking it. Well, Mike Norman has run almost a second quicker than that indoors. 1, 2, 3, 4 for the USA in the men's 400 metres. Mike Norman just out-leaning his training partner, Rai Benjamin, 45.34 to 45.39. Not much in it. A personal best, the consolation for Benjamin. And Terrell Richard in third place, 46.25. That is still classy running. That time, 45.34 for Mike Norman. Makes him fourth fastest in the world this year. Well, let's take a look at some of the best results from this evening. Kenny Harrison, a world lead, 7.82. From Tiffany Porter, equaling her personal best, 7.89. Gabby Cunningham there, 7.89 as well in third place, season's personal best. RJ Wilson, a late entrant for the women's 800 metres, a comfortable victory for her from Kayla Edwards and Isabel Boffey, setting personal best of Britain in third. The women's 300, Gabby Thomas, setting 35.73, a new world lead. Ellie Pourier, a national record. 9:10 in the 2 miles. Kayla White, a personal best. Bryce Hoppel, a national record in the 1,000. Ollie Hoare, national record of the Australian, 3:32 in the 1500s. Miller Weibo, national record, 50.21, and a world best in the women's 400 metres. Donovan Brazier, a national record in the 400 metres, in the 800 metres for the USA. 3 US records in the meeting today. A special gathering at the Ocean Breeze Athletic Centre on Staten Island. Hope you've enjoyed it. I have enormously. See you very soon. Bye-bye.